What's going on, everybody? Sean Daniel here with Guitar Control, and today we're going to learn how to riff out on the 12-bar blues. Very important blues lesson that I think everybody should be able to understand. And make sure to click the link below because I'm going to have the tabs for all these riffs and the structure and organization of the blues that we're going to be doing, okay? So we're going to do this in A. So this will be like 12-bar blues in A. Now, I'm going to show what I think the best pattern of the 12-bar blues. One of the most common patterns would be, so we've got 12 bars, right? And again, this will all be in that sheet below. But we have three chords, basically. The 1 chord in A, the 4 chord in A, and the 5 chord in A. So, the 1 chord in A is A. The 4 chord, A, B, C sharp, D, is D. And you do these open chords, or bar chords. And the 5 chord, the 5th note in the key of A, is E, all right? So we've got A, D, and E. So again, traditionally, I would say the first 4 bars of the 12-bar blues would be of the 1 chord. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 3, and 4. Then we go to the 4 chord for 2 bars, 2, back to the 1 chord for 2 bars, to the 5 chord for 1 bar, the 4 chord for 1 bar, and then either the 1 chord to the 5, and then back home, right? The last 2 bars you can usually put a turnaround in, stuff like that. Now, one of the signature sounds of the blues is turning all those chords into dominant 7 chords, okay? So instead of A, you have A7. Instead of D, you have D7. Instead of E, you have E7. So again, just by adding those dominant 7 chords, it already sounds bluesier. So I want to talk specifically about adding a dominant 7 interval to all of these chords and to make them sound more like riffs instead of chords, okay? The way we're going to do that is we're going to start off by playing the A note as a 5th fret on the E string. So instead of playing them as open chords, we're going to do a couple different things. So all together it'll sound something like... So it's something that creates a lot more space, and again, if you're playing in the context of a band, maybe it could be more interesting, or it's just a better kind of finger workout across the fretboard, all right? Now what we're gonna do is basically take each one of these chords, the A, the D, and the E, and start riffing over them instead of playing them as chords, all right? So the first one we're gonna use is gonna be one that I've talked about on this channel before, and it sounds like this. So that's going to be the first example figure on the tab chart. It's really easy. These are going to be notes from the A7 chord that we're going to play one at a time to kind of make a riff. That's kind of what riffing is. All right, so I'm going to play the 5th fret on the E string, jump to its octave, 7th fret on the D string, 5th fret on the D string. There's that dominant 7. And end up on the 7th fret of the A string. So what is a dominant 7 chord? Basically, it's if you take the major scale. So here's A major. And we take that 7th note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we flatten it. Back 1 fret. So 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7. Out of context, that note almost doesn't sound right, like it doesn't belong. But once you add it into a chord, you get a dominant 7 chord, and that is a signature sound of the blues, taking a major chord and taking a flat 7 or a dominant 7 interval and adding to it. So that's why the first one we're actually taking, if we want to just label the notes of this new scale, in fact, some people think of this as a mode, the Mixolydian mode maybe is something you've heard of. This is the exact same thing. If we count these out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we have 8 notes. We can turn these into numbers and then start making riffs for them. So instead of going 5, E, 7, D, 5, D, 7, A, over and over again, 4 bars worth, we could go 1, 8, 7, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 8, 7, 5. However you want to use your fingers to get your hand around that is fine, as long as this is a shape that you see. And for any of these 3 chords, the A, the D, which is the 5th fret on the A string, and the E, which is the 7th fret on the A string, that chord, that scale shape stays intact. So we can actually use that same shape over any of these chords and make riffs from them. Like that first one is just 1, 8, 7, 5. 1, 8, 7, 5. You can do the whole blues just like this. This kind of 4-note thing. Now I'm going to move it down a string for where the D chord happens, then back to the 1 chord for 2 bars. I'm going to go to the 5 chord, to the 4 chord, and then the 1 chord, and maybe to the 5 chord again, and back home, right? So that's just one way to start taking notes from that, and then incorporating them into more of a riff thing. So we're going to do 2 more, okay? And I really want to, for the second one, I want to keep that dominant 7-ness intact. So instead of jumping from the root note to the octave, this is going to be the next part of the tab, is jumping from the root right to its 7. Now you can do this with a bar. You can do this with your fingers like this, pointer, middle. But after this, we're going to go. Okay, so this is going to be our second riff. We've got the 1 to the 7. Again, in the scale, it would be 4, 5, 7, 5, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I can hammer on from the 4 to the 5, which is the 5th fret on the A string, to the 7th fret on the A string. Root, 7, hammer 7 backwards. And I can repeat this shape on any one of those notes, those root notes. So I'll go to the 4 chord. Now I'm starting on the 5th fret. It's so hard to talk and do this at the same time. Starting on the 5th fret on the A string. Root, dominant 7. Back to the 1 chord. To the 5. 4. 1. 5. 1. One thing you can do is mix them up. Maybe, like again, that 1 chord, you've got 4 bars there. So doing this 4 times, depending on the tempo, might seem kind of dragging, you know? So why don't we take the first riff and then alternate between the second riff? So 1 to the second one, to 1 to the second one. And then pick whichever one you want when you get to the 4 chord. But I want to do one more. And we're going to make this just a straight up major one, and we're actually going to avoid the 7. To not overdo it. You don't want to over-dominate somebody, yeah? Which is excellent advice, just life advice in general. So we're not going to get to the 7th note. We're going to stay in the first 5 notes of that, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe we're going to go 1, 3, 4, 5. That's going to be it. Now, you've probably heard this in a lot of different turnarounds because it takes you from the 1 to the 5, maybe even with a. But we're just going to take this as a riff. So that's just a bar. 2nd bar. 3rd bar. And the 4th bar. You can even slide to the 4 chord. Back to the 1 chord. We're on the 5 already. The 4. 1. And the 5. Okay, so we have 3 different riffs that we can kind of replace open chords with or supplement. You know, maybe we want to do, again, 4 bars for that first time. We have 4 things we could do. We have a chord and we have 3 riffs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 2nd bar. The 3rd bar. 4th bar. To D. Back to the A. To E7. To D7. Okay, so once you kind of see the structure of it and you kind of see where a lot of these bluesy type riffs are coming from, I think it makes things a lot more fun because you have all these different tools you can pull from. Because in my experience, in my vast blues jam experience, sometimes I'll get bored playing the same thing over again, even if you're playing like rhythm guitar, which this is a good way to still keep a beat because we're still kind of getting the bump, 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 bump. We're kind of keeping that steady. So if you are playing with another guitar player who's maybe playing more of like a lead style, you're not stepping all over him or her. You're still kind of keeping the beat bluesy style, but you're doing it in a way that maybe is a little more interesting to keep your own attention. So that's just kind of like how I think you should go about building different blues riffs, rhythms. All this stuff is movable. Again, this comes from this bluesy kind of scale shape. If you want to do it in B, you just move everything down. Instead of starting on the A here, you just start on the B. Everything is just coming from this one shape, and then just randomly choose different numbers and make your own, because I think that's like the fun of it, is you can kind of make stuff that maybe doesn't sound traditional. However you want to do it, it'll really just enhance your blues chops and your blues licks, because you'll see a lot of these techniques pop up in lead playing, maybe higher up the neck. So definitely let me know how you think, how your bluesiness is taking off in the comment section, and make sure to click some of these surrounding videos if you just need more blues in your life and more guitar Sherpa guidance that we're here to throw down from myself and other great instructors here on the Guitar Control channel. And like I said, as always, let us know what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see more of, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thanks a lot.